So leading business gold mining companies are back at the negotiating table with trade unions in a last-ditch attempt to avoid a crippling strike. The talks have resumed under the auspices of the CCMA, which is now mediating. The process began 3 months ago. Failure to reach a deal during CCMA mediation, it means a strike is a certainty, which will have implications across the economy. Reporter Mbongeni Muthwa has been following the talks. He joins us now. Mbongeni, great to have you with us. This really is the last chance to avoid a strike. Do you agree?
Absolutely. After this, there is no other step in the process. This is the last step in the process. If there's no deal, then it's strike action. So the stakes are very high.
So the CCMA issues a certificate, then the unions can strike. At least this process is quite long. It gives both sides a chance to mull over their stance, I guess.
Yes, in terms of the law, the mediation process by the CCMA should take place within a maximum of 30 days. Now, the talks collapsed exactly a month ago on the 13th of August. The unions declared a dispute, but it's been a month since, and it's only now that mediation is starting. So also, the interesting thing is the parties have agreed to continue talking beyond the 30 days if there is no agreement. So I think it shows the times that we live in and the recognition by the players that these are extraordinary times. They need to talk and talk and talk to do everything they can to avoid a strike, basically.
Certainly. So let's start with the employers. They won't want a strike. We know that times are tough for all mining companies, even though gold is not driven by the exact same market as the other commodities. Are they showing any softening in their stance?
Well, I think what happened at the last time that when the negotiations collapsed, it was at a point when the employers had tabled a final offer, which was going to be a 1,000 Rand cash payment, which would not attract benefits. It would not be part or form part of workers' basic salaries. That's when the talks collapsed, because the NUM rejected that. Of course, AMCO also rejected, saying the 1,000 Rand was too low. So now, today being the first day of mediation, one is getting a sense that there is a recognition by the employers that for an agreement to be reached, a breakthrough to be achieved, whatever offer that they table now has to attract benefits. At least there's that recognition. Also, today I learned reliably that two of the smallest operators, Harmony and Pan-African Resources, have informally indicated to some of the unions that they are prepared to increase the offer that they last made, because they were at the bottom. Harmony was at 500 rands. And of course, after increasing their offer, that offer would also attract benefits. So it seems that, at least as far as the employers are concerned, there is that recognition that the offer they make has to attract benefits.
That's interesting, because Harmony has been pummeled on the markets, but it shot up today. We're speculating why. Certainly the employers don't want to strike. They've often said that many of the mines are loss-making. Let's take a look at what Elise Stradham from the Chamber of Mines had to say.
We have tried to repackage our final offer. Initially we said 1,000 Rand increase for the categories 4 to 8 with no benefits. That is what we could afford. But we're prepared to look at reducing that 1,000 Rand to a lower amount, but then attracting full benefits. So we are open for discussions on that. But for 1,000 Rand plus on top of that, benefits, it's simply not affordable. It would really undermine the sustainability of the industry.
Okay, so the unions now, their stance always that these mine workers are living in poverty. We know, especially with debt, it's even harder for these workers to make ends meet. Are they considering the unique economic climate that we're in, though?
Well, it's very interesting that there are 4 unions. There's NUM, there's AMCO, there's Solidarity, and there's OASA. Already, at the time when the negotiations collapsed last month, Solidarity and OASA, which are the 2 smallest unions, had accepted the 1,000 rand offer. Solidarity are accepting it outright, UAS are accepting it in principle. Of course, they would have preferred that 1,000 rand attracts benefits. The NUM is also seems to be, of course, they had indicated that they would accept 1,000 rands if it attracts benefits. So you could say that we've got the majority, well, we've got 3 unions currently that seem to be leaning towards being more open to working something out. But AMCU is insisting that 1,000 rands is too low. They still want employers to put more on the table. So basically, there's that divide at the moment.
What is the clout of AMCU if the other 3 are for a deal that the chamber offers? Can AMCU scupper any deal?
Well, AMCU...
It's still a minority in gold.
Overall, according to the official figures from Chamber of Mines, they represent 30% of the workforce. NUM is at 50% and so on, which AMCU is disputing. But one thing that can't be that is AMCU has made a lot of inroads into the gold industry over the past 3 years since the last round of negotiations. In the big companies, which is Anglo Gold and Sebanye, in fact, it seems like they are neck and neck with the NUM there. So, I mean, AMCU can cause damage if they were to decide to go alone and strike at the end of the process. There's no doubt about that. So that's why the employers, when they made their final offer last month, it was on condition that all the unions accept it. If one of them rejects it, then it was off the table.
Let's end with then a little bit more of what the unions had to say today.
This stage is very crucial because should we fail to agree here, the next stage would be a strike, and I don't think there's any party that is interested in a strike. But if the employers force us that way, there's nothing else we can do.
We were, having a mandate from our members to reject the 1,000 rand, which was previously offered. So anything which is less than 1,000 or even 1,000 rand that they will bring back to the table will not be accepted.
Well, the SABC reporter, Mbongeni Muthwa, has been with us in studio, and you, of course, will be following these wage negotiations very carefully, and we'll bring you the outcome in coming weeks.